guns, gold, and geopolitics.
The first superpower didn't fall to invasion, revolt, or collapse. It slipped, quietly, and the world pretended not to notice. For half a century, the petrodollar system functioned like a silent treaty, one never spoken aloud, one never written down, one understood by every state that wanted to survive. Oil priced in dollars, global trade cleared in dollars, energy security guaranteed by an American fleet that could reach any coastline on Earth. The structure was elegant because it was invisible. You didn't see the power, you felt it. Every nation, whether ally or adversary, stored dollars because the alternative was exposure. Exposure to volatility, exposure to sanctions, exposure to chaos. Washington built a financial gravity well so deep that even its enemies orbited it. But gravity only holds if mass stays concentrated, and the mass of American power has been dispersing. Not rapidly, not visibly, but steadily. Just enough for the world's most strategic actors to test the perimeter. Just enough for the first cracks to appear in a structure believed to be permanent. Oil priced in dollars forced every importer, Europe, India, Japan, China, Africa, to maintain dollar reserves. Those reserves recycled into US Treasury bonds, financing Washington's deficits at artificially low rates. The system created a permanent demand engine. More global trade meant more global dollars. More global dollars meant endless appetite for US debt. Saudi Arabia was the keystone. Riyadh wasn't merely a supplier of energy, it was a supplier of trust. Their loyalty anchored the dollar because every barrel they sold in USD signaled confidence in America's stewardship. But stewardship requires discipline. Washington abandoned discipline decades ago. Deficits grew, debt accelerated. Sanctions became routine tools instead of last resort weapons. America treated the dollar as an instrument of force rather than an institution to protect, and the Saudis noticed. What began as quiet hedging, yuan-priced oil contracts, test trades in rupees, private settlements in gold, became policy. Not loud, not public, but unmistakable. A kingdom that once trusted America implicitly now diversifies to protect itself from America's unpredictability. When your most important partner hedges, the system is already shifting. The US Navy wasn't merely a military force. It was the underwriting engine of global commerce. Every tanker, every container, every energy route from Hormuz to the South China Sea moved under the shadow of the American fleet. Insurance premiums, shipping schedules, risk models, all assumed one thing. If anything went wrong, the United States would show up. But hegemony requires more than capability. It requires will. And US will is no longer unquestioned. China built the world's second blue water navy. Iran weaponized drones and small craft to harass ships with impunity. Russia demonstrated that seabed infrastructure, cables, pipelines, can be struck in the grey zone without attribution. The world learned something important. If the US responds, it is delayed. If it retaliates, it is limited. If it protects, it is selective. For a maritime empire, hesitation is weakness. Weakness encourages experiments. Experiments create new norms. The seas are no longer guaranteed. Without guaranteed seas, the petrodollar loses its spine. Dollar dominance wasn't just economic, it was informational. SWIFT, correspondent banks, dollar clearing choke points, treasury enforcement, OFAC visibility. The US built an architecture where every meaningful transaction touched an American-controlled node. That architecture became a global nervous system. When Washington sanctioned a bank, it didn't punish a state, it disconnected it from civilization. Then came the counter-architecture. China's CIPS system, bilateral swap lines, BRICS settlement rails, Russia's SPFS, crypto rails with state backing, and the return of the oldest settlement system in history, gold. The world didn't need to overthrow the dollar, it only needed alternatives. Alternatives dissolve monopoly, monopoly dissolves obedience, obedience dissolves power. Sanctions still hurt, but now states can root around them, not elegantly, not cheaply, but effectively enough to survive. And survival is all a state needs to defy the old order. The irony is sharp. The dollar itself is powerful, strong, liquid, unmatched. But the infrastructure that made it unquestioned is degrading. What collapses first is not price, it's trust. Saudi Arabia hedges, China settles oil in yuan, Russia settles commodities in gold, India buys energy outside the Western financial system, Africa courts Chinese credit, Latin America experiments with digital rails, Europe doubts American political stability, BRICS expands, Treasury auctions rely on domestic buyers rather than foreign surpluses. Each shift is small, individually insignificant, collectively undeniable. A reserve currency doesn't need a rival. It only needs enough friction for alternatives to feel viable. Markets chase liquidity. States chase sovereignty. Sovereignty beats liquidity when the stakes rise. The world is not moving to de-dollarize. That would be ideological. Instead, the world is moving to de-risk from American control. A tripolar settlement world is emerging. 1. Dollar for global finance and elite capital. 2. Yuan for commodities, manufacturing and strategic partnerships. 3. Gold and crypto rails for states operating in the shadows. This is not collapse. This is decentralization. The US used to be the center of gravity. Now it is one of several centers, still strong, still dominant, but no longer unchallenged. The consequence is predictable: higher deficits, weaker structural bid for treasuries, rising borrowing costs, greater reliance on domestic debt monetization, a slow internal squeeze that erodes the empire from within. This is how power ends, not by invasion, by arithmetic. The petrodollar does not explode, it evaporates. A system built on loyalty now runs on calculation. A currency backed by force now competes with optionality. A hegemon that policed the world now negotiates with it. The dollar remains strong. The question is whether the world still trusts the nation behind it. Because once trust fades, there is no military powerful enough and no interest rate high enough to force it back. The petrodollar isn't collapsing, it's eroding, silent, slow, and irreversible once the process begins. The world isn't abandoning America, it's simply preparing for a future where it no longer needs permission. That's how an order ends, not with a crisis, with a quiet, confident step away from the center.